Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I have named this video the things that my mother never told me about cleaning brushes. I was a child of the 70s and the 80s and my mother passed away when I was quite young, so cleaning brushes was never a factor back then, and it's something that I have learnt over the last couple of years that it's required. I must state that when I was growing up, makeup was a different type of medium back then. You had one colour on your eyelid, you used a kohl pencil and mascara, a bit of blush. There was no blending, there was no shading, there was nothing. So, you know, the conversation of cleaning one's brushes never came up. If you want to, for those that are young and you want to get an idea of what we faced as children of the 70s and 80s with makeup, get online, Google Robert Palmer, Simply Irresistible. It's a video clip. And you will see the makeup style that we were up against. So yes, hence why I am a late bloomer in this medium, I suppose you would say. Okay, so a few housekeeping tidbits before we start. First of all, I apologise about the lighting. All week here in country Victoria we have had cold, wet weather. Today, it's 24 and sunny. What can I say? So I apologise. Secondly, you'll hear a bit of noise going on in the background. It's my kids. Love them. Love them. They're bored out of their brain and they're coming in and out, and we have a Labrador who likes to bark at my son when he's on the trampoline. So I do apologise for the background noise. Take it as ambience, people. Okay, so cleaning brushes. If I have to say this, and this is a very, very important notification, if you have expensive high-end brushes that have specific cleaning instructions, please, please, please adhere to them. You don't go and spend a lot of money on brushes only to ruin them because you haven't followed the instructions. I'm completely adamant about that. This is information only. My brushes are a collection of different brushes, both synthetic and natural. I think the highest brand, if you want to say, that I have a couple of Inglot brushes and I have one Urban Decay. The rest are generic, bought over the internet. So for this, for my brushes, this is the way I clean them. If you are unsure whether you can clean your brushes this way, don't do it. Contact the manufacturer and ask them for the correct way of cleaning. As I said, this is a guideline only for what I do for my brushes. I am in no way saying, you know what, don't do what they say, do what I say. Not at all. That's not what I'm doing. Okay, so first things first, what I use is this on my brushes. I use a Palmolive, just a hand soap. You can use shampoo as well because obviously we have hair. You can buy a brush cleaner from cosmetic stores. If you want to use that, feel free. It can be expensive, and if you don't have the budget for it, please note that this is quite good. Don't use a cream-based cleanser though. They can become cloggy and difficult to wash out of your brushes, and they can make them, they can coat them with a residue, which means that if you're using a oil-based makeup or a wet makeup such as a foundation or a concealer, they can just swipe it across your skin. They don't help blot it in, so bear that in mind. So this one, again, you don't have to use Palmolive. That's just what I happen to have in our house at the moment, and I find that works quite well. And it has a nice smell too. Secondly, I buy these little things from eBay. These are like a mesh, and I'll show you, see that there? So these help your brushes keep their shape. When your brushes are wet, they tend to flatten out. These things help keep their shape. If you have a synthetic brush, not necessarily worried about that, because they are synthetic, they're cut and they are tapered in a certain way. But with your natural or hair fibered brushes, these are fantastic for keeping your shape. And just to give you an idea, that's a blush brush there. So I've done that. I've already washed this one today. And that gives you an idea of what I do with them. I buy these on eBay, as I said. I pay about $11 including delivery. It gives me enough for about 3 to 4 years. And that will depend on how many brushes you have and how often you clean them. I clean my brushes every 2 to 3 months. I only wear makeup 5 days a week. I generally try not to paint my face during the weekend unless I'm going out, needless to say. Let me just clarify, I will put on a BB or a CC cream just to give myself a bit of colour, because, you know, I am over 40, and at that end of your life you tend to be a bit blotchy. You teenage girls think you've got a problem with acne? You ain't seen nothing yet, kid. Just wait till you start getting towards menopause, then you'll know what your life's really like. Obviously scissors to cut said article, and water and soap. And one last thing that I will show you, I'll just turn the camera so that you can see. Okay, so see how I've got these brushes, these ones I've done already. This is a drying mat that I use in my kitchen. You'll see them. I picked it up at Aldi for about 11 bucks. I put it on my countertop when I'm drying my dishes that I don't put in the washing machine. And then underneath that I have a roll of kitchen towel or hand towel, whatever you want to call it, to create a ramp. Because the most important thing that you need to know about washing brushes, here is where the glue is that keeps all your brushes in place. You get this wet, you may as well throw your brush out. So it is highly important that when your brushes are wet, that you do not hold them up like that. Otherwise the water gets in there. One, it takes forever to try and get it out, but secondly, it breaks down the glue. So if your brushes are old and you think, oh yeah, let's ruin them, knock yourselves out, by all means. However, normally this is what you do. So what we might do is we might wash a couple of brushes, and I can show you what I do. What will I wash? Okay, shouldn't be this hard. Okay, I'll do this one. This one here is an Inglot. This is an Inglot brush, and this is a brush that I use for blending either my foundation or my concealer, so under the eyes. This one here is really good for getting into the nose and areas that, you know, you might need a flat brush. So this is a good brush to show you because it's tapered and flat. So what I do is water on like this, okay, and wet down the bristles. Now this is a natural fibre brush. I believe it's made from reindeer. Now if you get water on this metal thing, don't go, oh my God, she told me not to get water. Don't panic. As long as we don't get water in here, we're good to go. So just give it a good moisten. Why do people have such a problem with that word? Moist. It's a word. Let's move on, people. Okay, so just give it a good scrub it up. So I don't know, you probably can't see that because the lighting is just not very good here today. Well, it is if you're sitting out in the sun reading a magazine. It's brilliant. Now I don't have my water too warm because I've had foundation and concealer on this. It's an oil based, and those of us that are into stain removal, not a fan maybe. Protein comes out better in cold water than it does in warm. People make the assumption that it moves it. It doesn't. So lukewarm water, is good. If you're just doing your eyeshadow brushes or whatever, warm water is fine. Whatever floats your boat, whatever works. Remember, you know, everyone's different. I might just give it one more pump. Now, yes, I know my soap is not in the bottle. It's in a nice blue container to match my bathroom. I'm allowed. I'm a mother. I'm allowed to have matching pretty things. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Drives my husband insane. Sometimes I wonder whether I do it just to drive him insane. No, I don't. I love him. We've been married 18 years. I love him. Okay, so now cleaning your brushes is not a 5-minute affair. If you have 10 minutes before you have to leave the house, you're not going to be cleaning your brushes. If you are sitting at home and having one of those days where you really can't be bothered doing anything, that's the day that you clean your brushes, because then when your significant other comes home and looks around and says, "What the hell have you been doing all day?" you can say, "I've been washing my brushes." And you can show them the amount of brushes that you've been washing. Stick with me, kids. Auntie Bindi, she'll show you all the good things. Okay, so now we give the brush a bit of a how do you do and a bit of a squeeze. I should probably Australian slang, a bit of a how do you do is a shake. You know, like when you introduce yourself and people go, "How do you do?" and they shake your hand. That's what a how do you do is. So I just make sure that I squeeze as much out as possible. 2 reasons for doing that. 1, you get rid of the excess fluid, which will make drying the brushes easier. Secondly, you can see whether you've got all the soap out of it, because there's nothing worse than a crusty brush. Okay, so I just place that there for a moment, and then I'll grab my little, you would have thought that I would have found the end prior to organising this tutorial, because I am a highly organised person, normally. So what I do is I'll measure, because I want to create a cylindric shape. Now I normally cut it a little bit below, and the reason for that, and I will show you why in a minute, especially when you've got a tapered brush. So there we go, nice and cut. Let's put the sharp implements away, because, you know, safety first, people, safety first. Okay, so what I do is I take the end and place it over the brush, and just like that. Now, so you can see how it helps keep the shape. This is, remembering this is a flat brush naturally, but it just helps keep it tapered as well as flat, where if I was to dry that without it, it would dry like that, which is not the shape of the brush. So let's do that again. Just like so. So there you go. And then I place it on my little ramp. Now the reason why, oh, look at that sun. That's awful. I wonder if I bring it forward, you can see it better. No, it just looks like something out of a supernatural movie. I have glowing alien brushes, people. So I might move that forward so you can see it a bit better. So what happens, the reason why I have extra here is it creates like a plank. You know, when you're supposed to do your Pilates and you're supposed to plank every day so that you get great abs and fantastic core muscles. Well, that's what we're doing with our brushes. And that way the bristles don't bend and you don't end up with a kink. So that's how I clean my brushes. I'll just turn back so that, you know, I can look like an alien glow now. Okay, so that's how I clean my brushes. Remembering what I said before, if you have high-end brushes, please do as the manufacturer says. If you're unsure whether the method that I have shown you is correct or okay for your brushes, contact the manufacturer just to confirm. And I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, please. If you didn't, I apologise, and I'll try and do something a little more interesting next time. So thank you for joining me today in very sunny country Victoria. I hope you have a fantastic week and enjoy, and above all, have fun, people. See ya.